Station here. And then Red says more dumbass, stupid ass shit, saying you're gonna make a lot of money, but it sucks because it's not as special because everybody's getting nano art. You know, stupid thing to say. All right. And let's see. Red saying that they'll try to maybe reach out to the other person again. And then Red still asking if Nano's available. Nano's like, yeah, I can. Nano should be an honor keep making Cinder model, but if she chose to work with someone else, it is what it is. Almost like it was just business. I mean, Nano is suggesting other people here. Right? And then even Red is like, okay, well, maybe try to talk to these other people. So that's fine. Interesting. Besides gamer stuff, I think there might be one big art project we have in mind, but needs to talk to some people first. And of course the game, but probably wouldn't be able to contribute with how much would be needed from each artist. I don't know what the plan is with that yet. And I mean, there's always Cinder Dojin idea too. Makes me kind of scared being a content creator, like not just art, you know. I don't have the energy. I don't have energy anymore. I love to see you do more content creator stuff, but beware, it might be easier to stay in your art world. Right? I'm happy with my small fan base. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Red is like, this is where Red is aggressive on the whole, like, hey, like, we need more nano stuff. My comment is saying we take pride in calling her artist. It was not about owning Nano or keeping her from working with other people. It was because Nano's art style had become synonymous with Cinder and her brand, and she was the artist we personally prioritized and supported over all others. I was also mentioned to Nano the pressure Cinder, and I felt even back then to constantly be doing more and new exciting things, which led to how unhealthy our work-life balance eventually became. Interesting. Interesting. I think Red's idea here was brand recognition, but they definitely were pressuring Nano unwittingly, it looks like. Right? Dude, you make me rethink about my current wait list. And Red is like, what do you mean? You and your husband need a house. Nano's like, I don't know, Cinder is just the best baby I got. And Red is like, what the fuck, dude? Buy a house. And then Red is just egging them to keep their work, it looks like. Above, Red says to Nano, you and your husband need a house before I'm accused of not censoring the personal information and outing her. It's public on Nano's Twitter profile that Mio is her husband and also her manager. Okay, so Nano's married. Cool, we get that. All right. I mean, if you want to clear up your schedule for more work with us, I'm not going to stop you. This is edited. What did this say before it was edited? I don't know for sure right now, but I think you maybe should keep Bao big, maybe, and that's all I'll say. Interesting. I mean, Red is making the suggestion. It's not like Nano. Like, Nano is saying, I'm rethinking my wait list. And Red is saying, I'm not telling you what to do, but if you want to, right? After Nano said she would rethink her wait list, and I said don't stop her as she wanted to make more time for us, she responded saying she was thinking about getting rid of the later ones. I thought Nano should keep Bao on her list because she was Cinder's friend, but I didn't want to take a solid stance on it if Nano was thinking about removing herself. Nano said here she really wanted to work with Bao. Are you designing Bao? Yes. I might have it like this. Like our people, I promised models, so I can't cancel. I'll just tell my manager told me to get rid of some commissions because I'm dying. So far, I'm not going to lie, Nano made this decision on their own, right? Nano told Bao's model was planned for June, and 2 minutes later, I asked her what she could Get over when she showed me that she removed Silvervale and Cotton. Oh. Oh no, Nano. Oh, Nano. Nano removes Silvervale. Interesting. 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 But like, that was never asked of her. She just did that. Right? But it wasn't asked of her. She just did it. She decided that she had a work overload. She decided to remove it. Interesting. Nana told me about his mom. Okay. All right. Even Red's shocked here. You just scrapped Silvervale. I talked to Cinder just now about this, and she said she absolutely would love to work with you more to help you pay for your house. So after Nano scrapped Silver, Cinder said, hey, dude, if you want more work, I can give you more work. It's actually a generous offer. I mean, it's fair, I guess. I'll cancel. Did you already start on Silvervale's model? Yeah, but I'll cancel it anyway. I feel more light and I didn't even send the message yet. Yeah, but like, why though? Like, I don't. That's weird. I mean, it's a weird thing to do, but I guess if you're an artist and you're like, I just want to make money, I could understand why you're doing it. You know what I mean? Right? If you check Nano's side of the Silver long, she told Silver 30 minutes after this. Okay. She's doing whatever it takes to please them, but she doesn't have to. I still stand by the fact that Nano could just say no. She doesn't have to please them. She could tell them no. And to be fair, it looks like they're willing to wait. It's not like they're rushing her for anything. Right? Like they are open to the idea of other artists. They're willing to wait. They do want to work with her. Right? And Nano makes that decision herself. You know? So, if I'm going to be honest, I think realistically, with all the shitty shit that Red has said and did, this is a point to Red. If I'm going to assign points for positive interactions, I will give a point to Red here for not being a terrible shithead for once. You know, he's still in the negatives realistically, but like, that's 1 point. I didn't ask Nano to cancel anyone's model. She chose to cancel Cotton and Silvervale's model herself, even though I was biased about Silvervale. I had nothing against Cotton back then and didn't even say anything once to Nano about her. She chose to cancel her model too. She said that she was feeling more light, implying that she was really dying with her commissions. I told her she should do what's best for her, and Nano first showed me her waitlist and told her she canceled Silvervale's model and she was trying to buy a house and that we could give her more work to help her. She was excited to do as much as we could for Nano. Nano told me about Silver's model in July, but it was only canceled here in November. If I was the one who had Silver's model canceled, why did I tell her it was okay and then wait 4 months to force to manipulate Nano to cancel it? Why would Nano have been able to tell me no in July about Silvervale and then never again or about anything else? I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like Rez. Like, I hate to admit it, bro. I hate to admit it. Red's got a point. Red's got a point here, guys. He's got a point. He's got a point. He's still mostly at fault, but he's got a point. You know what I mean? I don't think he manipulated anything here. He's a dickhead, and they should still break up with Cinder, but he's got a point that Nano didn't have to do that. Right? Here's Nano canceling the model with Silver in her DMs, blaming Mio and her work with the screenshots from Silver's document. right? And then Nano lies to Silvervale. Okay. You know? And this is my message to Silver 2 days before Red's conversation with Nano even happening on the 15th. This message was framed in the Silver document as me taunting her while Red and I were supposedly plotting against her. Hey, Silver, I just bought your stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Interesting. I replied to Nano's tweet of mine. Silver's emerged the night before Red had this conversation with her, too. Interesting. So this is just Cinder just seems like she's being supportive here. I'm not gonna lie, that's fair. It could be read as being supportive. It would be quite evil. Like, I don't hear me out. I don't think that Cinder is Megamind. I don't think that Cinder is a mastermind, you know, with evil intent. Right? She's probably a shitty person, but not a mastermind of the arts. You know what I mean? I also don't think that Red is a mastermind at manipulating people. I think that Red is very business savvy, but I don't think that they manipulated Nano in any way. I think they were straight up just being honest with how they felt about things in that situation. I think Red saying the shitty things about, like, which, you know, eventually devalue Nano's art. What were they saying? Like, if there's too many Nano babies, it doesn't feel special or whatever. I think that's a pretty shitty thing to say, right? I see the intent behind the statement, but it's still fucking terrible to say. And I will say, I think objectively so far, the only person at fault is still Red. Nano for canceling stuff that they didn't have to, but Red is still mostly at fault here, right? Right? Maybe you should keep Bao as a client as manipulation. I don't think that's manipulation. I think, again, Nano made those decisions themselves. Red never said anything. You like if again, if you are going to claim that Red blatantly manipulates Nano here, right? I will level with you here. If you're gonna claim that Red blatantly manipulates Nano here and says, yeah, like, you know, maybe you should do this or whatever. All right. We also have to point out that it wasn't Red's idea. It was Nano's idea initially. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot sit here and tell me that Red manipulated Nano when it wasn't Red's idea to drop these clients. It was Nano. How could he manipulate her? You know? Like, I don't know. And don't get me wrong, right? Like, also, yeah, Clara is an artist, guys. He is Cinder's background artist. I will disagree with Clara here, though, in the regard that I say, at the end of the day, Nano is still a grown-ass adult. I'll agree with Chad on that one. And Nano is capable of making her own decisions. Right? But it's really hard. Really hard to say. I don't think much of the time, but Cinder messaged me on Discord right before Models canceled. She celebrated that we shared art, despite the fact at the same time she and Red were actively working to take potential work away. So we have now learned that this statement isn't true. Right? Silvervale saying that they were working to take work away, we now know, based on these screenshots, assuming that they are not fabricated in any regard, are not true, because these are decisions that Nano made on their own, and it is being framed as if though Cinder was somehow manipulating things with Red behind the scenes. But I will say that I disagree based on all the empirical evidence that we now have. with what we had before, I could maybe see it, but I don't think so anymore. Right? I still think Red's a shithead though. This is what Red told Nano and me about working with Silver. In July, Red told Silver was still her client, no matter how he may have felt. And here's Nano in her own public Discord server the very next day in November saying that she's healthier and less stressed after choosing to remove Silver and Khan from her commission waitlist. Nano is admitting that she took action on her commission waitlist and she's less stressed. But here's Nano's reaction to finding out about my message to Silver, and imagine how it was portrayed in Silver's document. Nano would have known exactly what happened to Silver's model. Nano is saying, I can't believe this. Interesting. Interesting. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Why is Nano playing both sides? Nano made the decision to drop the model. Silver is saying that it's Cinder's fault. And Nano still sits there and pretends like they weren't involved in the decision. That's interesting. That is interesting. Because artists have to be liked to get work. Yeah, I know, I get that, right? It's the same thing for fucking any line of work. But hear me out. Don't be a fucking liar. You know what I mean? And this is what, so as I've mentioned before, I'm a YouTube manager, right? And the one thing I try to instill in editors is don't fucking lie to me. Just tell me the fucking truth. You know what I mean? Just tell me the fucking truth, and I promise you, things will work so much better. Right? But in this instance, Nano is playing a lot of different sides. And I don't know if I agree with Nano on that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll be honest with you, that's a point from Nano. That's a point from Nano there. Nano told Red that Geary approached her about a model. I chose to leave her name uncensored here since I mentioned her in my apology after finding out about it. And I was ever even aware that Nano was planning to work with a model for another model of my friends. Geary. Geary contacted me for a possible model. She's browsing artists, so it's not confirmed. I'm gonna pass it yesterday. Ain't no way. She's gonna want you for sure. Hold on, it's not like this, not yet. Another project I was talking about was before maybe a big art piece for WeebCon in March. Red talked about another project with Nano between these screenshots. Okay, fair enough. Would it be evil to pay you model price to not work on a Silver model? I'm only half kidding. So again, this is Red being stupid as shit again. And I will say Red is definitely in the wrong for this. I will agree with you in the instance here where Red says, you know, would it be evil to take this slot? Right? Right? Before, Red's not the one that initiated that. Nano did. And then Red just followed up on that. You know? So, if I'm going to be real with you, while Red is still the most fucked up person in this situation, Nano being two-faced here is also kind of shit. That's also kind of shit. Right? If others are going to bad fate Cinder and everything, then the same goes for Nano. Maybe she's playing both sides because she saw everyone ganging on Cinder and wanted to be in with the girly pops. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Red's crime is being unprofessional moron. Yeah, no, Red's a fucking idiot. I'll admit. He actually is. Why lie if he did nothing wrong? Sorry, but Nano is just as fucked up. No. I can't say Nano is just as fucked up. I'd say that Nano is a fucking liar, but like, I would say maybe Red is fucked up, right? Red starts like before, Red was just airing out grievances, but I would say by November, right? This is where Red went full on, let's be evil, and actually start maybe being manipulative, right? I think early on, before these conversations, like if I go back, I'd say back here at the start of the month, Red was just actually being like, all right, yo, Nano, like, how are you doing? Just trying to be your friend, looking out for you, all that shit. And then when Nano said, okay, I'm not going to work with these people anymore, then Red tried to be supportive in the best way they knew how by saying, we'll give you more work. But on top of that, it looks like Red started doing fucked up shit by saying, actually, we'll give you more work and pay you to not work with other people. Right? Like, Red gave into an idea that was probably a fantasy in their head before, but then suggested it out loud, is what it looks like. So, yeah. I was half kidding when I told Nano about paying her not to work with Silver in the model because she just canceled her model 2 years earlier. Nano said that I was right. This is just business world. In reference to what I said about paying her not to work with Silver, which is the exact opposite of what Minus in their later comments saw business meant. Unrelated conversation continues again between these screenshots. Let's see if Geary wants a model or not, and hope that Silver finds someone else. And then they do like a evil emote. See, this is them giving into their ambitions. The next 7K I kind of want to save for Black Rigging, though. My house can wait. Okay. My reaction towards Geary inquiring about it had nothing to do with Geary at all. I've never had anything against her. Yeah, the Geary thing happened in passing. Geary's a nothing burger here. This is just right after Nana had removed 2 models from the schedule. I never told Cinder about Geary because it was never went anywhere, and there was no reason to. I hope Silver would find someone else to do her model so she wouldn't come back to Nana for one, unlike Cinder by this point. And anytime I had already basically written off Silvervale because of the undeserved way she treated her. You know what? This is, again, Red giving into his evil thoughts. And I could understand the notion of, you were mean to my girlfriend, fuck you. But he let that seep into business, which is incredibly fucking stupid. And, you know, minus a point for Red for that, right? Jumping ahead again. Nano is very easy to sway. I'm going to be honest with you, though. I don't think that Nano is being swayed in any regard here. I think that Nano is making these decisions on their own. And Red's just like, okay, I guess. Sure, we'll go along with this. Right? How many points are we on? Yo, we're halfway through Nano's part, if I'm going to be honest with you. Right? Nano asked me if she should have Bao's model done. Nowhere do I say she should cancel it. Nano suggested she may get it done sooner than June. Do you think it would be best for me to have Bao's model done sooner or around June is okay? Why is Nano asking Red for when she should get other people's commissions done? Right? That's weird. I don't like, again, I don't necessarily want to. Nano's not being manipulated here. She's manipulating herself. Like she's doing this to herself. This is a self-inflicted problem. This is interesting. Pretty sure we're going through. Yeah, no, I plan on going through the entire doc, and I'm only halfway through Nanos right now, which has taken me the past hour and a half. Nano isn't being manipulated; she's being stupid. It's very weird. Why do other VTuber would make their partners their managers? I don't know. Damn it, Nano, you manipulated our poor Nano. Yeah, that's weird. Guys, low key, read it. Okay, like just we aren't at the end of this document, obviously, right? But I'm gonna be honest with you. Reading the Nano part alone, I said that if at any point I don't think that Cinder is in the wrong, maybe I'll give her an apology. So far, I think I might owe Cinder an apology. Right? Like, I think Cinder is still stupid as fuck for defending her stupid as fuck boyfriend. Right? Don't get me wrong. I will stand by Red being a piece of shit here and the relationship between them being toxic. But I don't know. I'm starting to see that Nano is a problem for herself, and that Cinder is not involved in these conversations at all. Right? Like I'm gonna be honest with you. She might have had a point when she said that, like, these conversations were his, you know? Real talk, a good partner calls you out when you're doing something bad and need to chill out. Yeah, but we've determined that they're shit at communication. You know what I mean? She stood by her statement that Nano's art would be less valuable if more people had them. Yes, that is a stupid thing for her to stand by. I'm not gonna lie, right? That is, I will say that is an incredibly stupid point to say, and it only made her look worse. But if the reality that we're seeing is that Nano self-inflicted this, which so far I'm only halfway through it, but if I'm going to be honest with you, the Nano problem seems very self-inflicted. I don't think that they manipulated Nano. I think Nano made stupid ass decisions, right? That would imply that Nano lied about Cinder and it started a smear campaign against Cinder, is the huge implication here. Without finishing this, that's what that would imply, right? I think at first they were manipulating her and she eventually started doing it to herself. I mean, if you see it that way, then yeah, because it just seems like a self-inflicted problem. So far, I'm not done. Maybe it gets worse, and maybe we see, like, Red be a stupid piece of shit again. But so far, it seems to be a self-inflicted problem. Derek Andre skit. I don't know what to believe in anymore. It's a factual statement from a purely egalitarian perspective, and who are we to dictate what the correct perspective is? Fair enough. Fair enough. Adults communicating properly, challenge gone wrong. True. True. Okay, so let's see. We've got an art stream. They're talking about more artwork. And let's see. And Nano saying, I'm going to do other projects, then I'll be open. And then Nano saying, even I'm dedicated Cinder slave, I'll need to make Patreon content too. And Red saying, that's fine. Right. And then Nano refers to herself as dedicated Cinder slave after our conversation, which isn't something I ever implied she'd be or wanted her to only work for us. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When does the conversation about the exclusivity happen? Right? Because so far it doesn't seem to have happened. Or maybe I missed that. But it doesn't seem to have happened. But Nano seems to be implying that they're okay with that. 2024. Oh my God. That pisses me off even more, bro. That actually pisses me off even more. Ah, this is a self-inflicted issue. Someone I worked with asked me how it was working with Nano since their friends was commissioning her for a model. A few days after their message, I responded praising Nano. Okay. Okay, Cinder, yeah. All right, you're backing it up. Red messages Nano about me and one of my model sisters. We didn't have a problem with sharing Nano as a model mama with anyone, and I've always supported them. And then, Red praising the other people that Nano has worked with. That's fair. Nano voiced her concerns to Red about their previous conversation where she got the impression Red wanted her to only make models for me, and the confusion about it is cleared up between them. The situation shows Nano was capable of putting her own foot down and making decisions herself despite any accused manipulation. By the way, we need to talk. What's up? So it's about working with Cinder. My friends told me it's a bit unfair to me to stop other models to do more Cinder, which I agree with them. I'm a free artist and I should do whatever I want to do. Yeah, but no one told you to stop working with other people. I don't want to take sides on any drama or situations. No one told you to do that. I always want to have open slots for Cinder, but I won't have her as my only customer. I agree with you. I was under the impression that taking on more Cinder work is what you wanted to do. I didn't think that we were making you do it. Yeah, from the context of these conversations, Red is right. No one forced Nano to do this. Nano wanted to do that. Guess we had a misunderstanding. And then Nano references the one line that Red said that was fucked up. And then Red has to clarify. Then they immediately apologize. That's interesting. So then Nano starts to blame Red for the self-inflicted problem, is what it looks like. Right? Like, how do you self-inflict a problem, but then try to redirect it onto someone else because of one statement that they made? Wherein, like, they said, yeah, sure, it feels like everyone's going to be a Nano baby and it's not going to be special, but they never implied that they only wanted what? That's weird. That's weird. Okay. I was confused because I never told Nano she would only be working with Cinder from now on, and I didn't ask her to cancel anything either. I said that it's more that she made less special they were and talked to Cinder's plans, and she canceled the 2 models. I thought it was because she wanted to do more with us. To be fair, Nano, I didn't explain my point of view about her models at all, but I didn't bring up to someone somehow manipulate her. It came down to a conflict of interest from my client perspective and her artist perspective. First of all, this way of thinking about the value of Nano's model was my thought process, and Cinder understood and went along with it. Not everyone will feel or see the way I did here, and that's okay, because I don't think that this is a right or wrong issue. It just comes down to what each person values as a VTuber artist or reviewer. This shows you how much we admire Nano and her work, and we're putting her on a pedestal. This had nothing to do with the idea that other people with the model would be a Cinder clone or that her work was less incredible because there were more of it. To me, it was a matter of supply and demand, just like a rare trading card. The more models Nano made, the more often she would, the less valuable they become for people who have them. Nano's models are incredibly quality, extremely unique, and highly sought after, but they'd each individually be less special or valuable if there were 100 of them, or rather than only 10. From a VTuber perspective, your visual identity is extremely important. A model isn't just any other asset. Your design, your model, and its art style are a huge part of what make them who you are and how they're represented and recognized. It's an extension of yourself. The fewer VTubers with their model art styles, the more unique it is to have it. They stand out more, and it becomes a more personal, defining feature of and to that VTuber representing that artist. We all know at least one VTuber who has the only model from a certain artist or one handful of models from them. The more models that artist makes, and the easier it is to get one, it will inherently lessen the perceived value of the VTuber's visual identities who have those models. is Red's not, he's not wrong, but he's not right either. Right? Like, 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 like he's approaching this from the idea of a rare trading card. Right? And I get that point of view. But in the creator space, it's also okay to be similar. You know what I mean? So it's a really warped way of looking at things, but it's not the right way of looking at things. And he's doubling down on it. I mean, kudos, he's standing on business. Amen. He's standing on business. I got to give him credit for that. You know what? That's a point. As fucked up and as wrong as it is, he is standing on business. You know, and that I got to give it to him. Right? The more demand a model artist gets, the more they can charge for it, and it wouldn't be easier to get one. No, I get that. I definitely agree with you there that the artist could just raise their prices, and then the value of the artist just goes up, right? And I feel like that's good for the artist. He is coming from a business perspective, so it makes sense. That's what I'm saying. Like he's not wrong. He's not, but also he's not exactly completely right either. You know, it's weird. It's weird. What page are we on right now? Page 100 of the nanoless part, right? I never thought this way over model because role and importance plays deeper than importance. Nanos was her branding. It was never about who was asking data for a model, just more and more people were. The more model clients meant more recurring model clients, meaning less time for anything we wanted to do with Nano, which is why we considered an exclusivity deal in January 2025. So, to be fair, Nano seemed open to it before they even brought it up to Nano. So that's not a bad thing. My priority had always been our plans and our schedule. Everything a VTuber does revolves around new model debuts, merch, music events, and more are planned around a new model and out of his centerpiece. That's why I always ask Nano about her schedule and where she could fit in our plans at the consistent pace we've always. That way we could keep up with the pressure to always do bigger and better things all around new models. On the other hand, as you'll read, I could also completely sympathize with Nano's perspective as an artist. It is an artist's view. They want their art to be everywhere and been as seen by as many people as possible, and have more of people appreciate their craft, hard work, and love they put into what they do. More artwork for more clients means more of their work will be seen by more people, leading to more new clients and more new opportunities to sustain themselves financially. Red is agreeing with the chat right now. Interesting. New ideas and new concepts that come again with the same older clients. When Nano told me how she felt, I was 100% on board with what she was saying and had no reason to argue against her. Even my priority had always been Cinder's projects. I also cared about and prioritized Nano as my friend, and she wanted to do it for herself. I apologized to Nano for the confusion and accepted her decision without any pushback. When I said business is business in these messages, I was referring to the fact that Nano made a business decision that was best for her, and it wasn't necessarily what I wanted and respected it. Didn't hold it against her and worked around it. It's okay, Nano. You're just making a living and making a name for yourself, and I can't blame you for accepting more from other big names in the industry and having very desirable talent. If you end up filling your model schedule again like it was, let me know. We'll have to replan some things depending on that. Thank you for understanding my side. We'll try to have our names somewhere. Just don't take this personal or anything. I still work with you guys. And again, apologies for trouble and plans. I'll revisit my list and see what I got. Business is business. If you want to go through the project and talk about it, let me know which ones you'd want to do. Just wait to hear from you about your model list. And wait, hold on. This is okay. Work on before we set anything aside. Of course. I'll be away today, so I'll give you an update later. And then Red asks if the drama that they're referring to is about Silver's model. And then Nano is saying, yeah, I want to take the model. I just want to do pretty models and not hurt anyone's feelings. And then Red is saying, yeah, business is business. I never asked her not to do or cancel a model. She wanted to work in Silver. There was nothing I could say or stop her. It was just businesses, and I respected it. Just like I always had business is business. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. while Red is a stupid piece of shit, he's not wrong in letting her do what was right for her. And this is not him manipulating her. Montgomery, thank you for gifting us up, by the way. Right? In Red's message at the bottom, he was joking, of course. I was okay with Nano's decision in my conversation with Nano about this below. Nano, you're a freelance artist and Silver is a longtime client, so it makes sense to continue working for her. I understand the logistics. At the end of the day, you need to do what's best for you. Okay. Right now, I just didn't think our other conversation sounded like I was trying to make you not work for her with the model. Like Silver specifically. Maybe I just consider the situation too. My mistake for thinking that way. It's okay, but are we good? Me and you are good, but I still have to tell all this to Cinder. It'll be fine. Just like before, I told Nano she needs to do what's best for her. I didn't say anything about Silver in our conversation where Nano canceled her model. Yeah, so Nano is now claiming that she canceled it because she felt like Red was saying that you should cancel it. Nano has said that English isn't her first language. But I'm going to be honest with you, like, I read that clearly. I don't know. I don't know how she came to that conclusion. It's a weird conclusion to come to, you know? Like, it's a very weird conclusion to come to. But it's just self-inflicted problem, right? I do whatever I want to do, proceeds to follow what Red says at a certain degree. It's very weird. Too business-minded mentions me to be allowed to just roam free like a dog off leash. It's hard to summarize. I guess I can see where she thought that with all of the gossip he shares, but yeah, she did it. Yeah. I can't really defend either side. Nano and Red should have kept this to themselves, especially when both sides are at fault. Yeah. And then, once again, same business, hear me tell Nano that no matter what her decision on Giri's model was, I accept whatever outcome she chose. I didn't want to affect her decision about it, and Giri never came up between us again. I asked Nano if she told Silver she canceled her model because before this, Nano was under the impression I asked her only to work with us. When I didn't, she canceled Silver's model at the end of the same conversation. I didn't know she might have told Silver, but Cinder had nothing to do with it. That is fair for him to ask if she mentioned it, because he's just trying to make sure that she didn't lie, right? Because realistically, he didn't ask her to do that. And if she had gone and said, Silverville made me do it, that would be inaccurate. You know what I mean? So that's fair for him to have the concerns to ask her. You didn't tell Silver you canceled because of Cinder, right? Like, now that we have the context of this line is a lot more tame than it seemed to be in the other document. You know what I mean? Like, with the full context, Nanoless gaslit herself. I guess in her mind, working with others, he badmouths means messing with the relationship. I mean, maybe. He repeatedly told her to do what's best for her. So, like, yeah, I don't know how you could come to the conclusion that you're being manipulated if someone is telling you, do what's best for you. Like, that doesn't make sense to me in any degree, right? We never want to make you feel like you're making you or forcing you to work or not work on something, especially if it's something you want to do / don't want to do. And the entire conversation the other day wasn't meant to convince you of only doing Cinder work. Again, sorry that it sounded to you like I was telling you to do only Cinder work. I'll message you later. Yeah, Red even clarifies that's not what they meant. That's insane. Right? Nano need a manager. The personal to business back and forth gets all blurry and everything's confusing. It sounds like more shifting blame than anything, in my opinion. Okay, yeah, Cinder might be shifting blame in this document, but if you actually read it like I'm doing right now, she's rightfully shifting the blame. Given the full context of things that we didn't have full context to before, it is very evident, unless Cinder is extremely batshit insane to fabricate all of this evidence, it is extremely evident that Nanolist gaslit herself. Right? Red might be a piece of shit, but Nanolist gaslit herself. Oh, I meant Nanolist? Yeah, Nanolist is definitely trying to shift blame. For sure. This reminded me of the VTuber who gaslit themselves into thinking an artist stole their design for an adopt recently. Jesus Christ. Here are my own DMs with Nano about what happened, where I say it's business. Red told me about this conversation with Nano before she messaged me, and my use of the phrase had the same meaning as his, since Nano just heard it from him. That makes sense. They are a couple. They use the same terminology a lot. That makes sense. Right? That makes sense. That makes sense. Me saying it's just business was referring to my acceptance of Nano's business decisions, whether she chose to work with me or not. This was not in reference to anyone's model being canceled. Further explaining to her that it's okay if she chooses not to work with me. I can understand where the next part can sound manipulative, but my intention was to reminisce about the journey we had together up to that point, since at the time I wasn't sure if this is where Nano and I would stop working together as frequently as we had been. I'd have to look for a new model artist. I encouraged her to work on other projects she was excited about, while I talked with Red to find a project that would work with her schedule. Hasten, I hope you're doing okay. I talked to Red, and I believe he talked to you already, and I thought it'd be best if I just check here personally. And then they talked about the conversation with Red, and then Cinder corroborated saying, yeah, Red speaks for me here. I do remember all of that. Okay. And then when she came to me about they've been talking to Nano, she told me she thought and chose to cancel models because of what Red said. Red only expressed his opinion to her. He didn't ask or imply her to cancel anything on anyone when she came to him about it. He understood and sympathized with her view. Right? And then Nano keeps bringing up that one line and then blaming Red for canceling models. And then I understood what Red's reasoning in screenshot Nano sent, but no matter what she chose to do, it was just business. Since it's been completely ignored in my apology, deceptively misrepresented and turned into a meme. Let me explain what I meant by it's just business. When I used the phrase myself, if Nano had chosen to pause, delay, or cancel any planned or future work with me for any reason she would give me, whether due to other clients, burnout, or any other reason, then it was just business. Both Red and I had repeatedly reassured Nano over the years that there was nothing she could say or do to make us choose to stop working with her, and nothing about our work together would ever make me rethink the friendship I had with her. Our feelings did not dictate Nano's business and commission decisions. We always made accommodations for her to be able to work with us when she could, and she was always willing and excited to do things with us. If she had come to us herself saying she didn't want to work with us ever again, that was just business. That's fair. That's actually a strong statement to support all the claims she's made so far. I'm not going to lie, point to Cinder. Right? That's a point to Cinder. Chat, I might have to apologize. I might have to make an apology. Like, I'm not going to lie, bro. So far, I might have to apologize to Cinder, which is going to suck. You know, this feels like it should have been taken to court. Realistically, I don't think that court should be involved. Realistically, I think this is like a gross misunderstanding between individuals that definitely should have been resolved behind the scenes. But unfortunately, Nano made a fucking Google Doc. You know what I mean? Like they could have just figured this out. And then because Nano made that Google Doc, it made it seem like Cinder was a lot worse than she might have been. But given the context of everything, Nano gaslit herself. Right? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure eventually Cinder and Red become pieces of shit. Right? Because they admitted to that. Right? But the initial thing is that Nano gaslit herself. And because Nano gaslit herself, in an attempt to work with Nano, they decided to double down on their evil strategy, right? And I think that unfortunately is what led to them being like, okay, maybe don't work with this people, so we could have the exclusivity deal and shit like that. But it looks like it is all initially Nano gaslighting herself. And it doesn't excuse what Cinder and Red do. But Nano, if I'm going to be objective here, I think Nano is just as much as fault as they are in that regard. Right? Whichever side you agree with, the thing should have done is handle it privately. No, absolutely. You know, that does seem like the case there. Some of what she said did seem manipulative. Yeah. Let's see. If you were to present my conversation with Nano first without any of the context of Red discussion with her happening just before this, it could have looked like I was directly responding to Nano's message about them canceling other people's models as just business. This is how it was presented in Nano's document. You'd also have to ignore everything else I said in the same message to Nano and everything else from the same conversation that referenced Red had told Nano the day before. When you have the full context of the situation in order, my "it's just business" comment means something completely different than what it was deceptively portrayed as to the public. I'm not gonna lie, Cinder makes a fair point. Given the entire context of the conversation, she's got a point, right? She was grossly misrepresented in Nano's document, unfortunately. And for that, I will openly admit and apologize to Cinder. Okay? Nano told Red that she was going to take Silver's model back. 2 days later, she told him that Silver might have found another artist and was waiting for confirmation. Nano had plenty of time to tell Silver she'd take her model if she wanted to, but never did. Nano and Silver blamed us for her model being canceled. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This is on Nano. That's not on Red and Cinder. Right? That's not on them. Kind of fucked up. The public didn't need to know about this. It was also loss of a friendship between Nano, Cinder, and Red. Truth needs to come out. If it means loss of friendships to be said, sacrifices need to be made for righteousness. Yeah. And then so, because Nano couldn't have the Silver thing, she came right back to Cinder and Red. Like you can't say that they were manipulating you, but then the moment Silver is like, well, I found someone else. This is just the Thanos meme, right? Right? Like you couldn't live with, what the fuck does Thanos say? What the hell is the goddamn line, bro? Chad, do you know the Thanos line? Hold on, I gotta look it up now. Thanos, you couldn't live with your own failure. And where did that bring you? Back to me. That's literally what happens here. Right? Nano made a decision on their own, lost out on a client because of the decision that they made on their own, and then went right back to the same clients that they said that were trying to manipulate them into not working with the client. That's like, that doesn't make sense. Right? What's crazy is other VTubers have stopped friendships just associating with each other gradually over time when they distanced themselves privately and almost never brought it up publicly. And even when they did, they kept things brief and details private. I miss those times. I mean, that's just what people should do in general. You know what I mean? Nano told Red she wouldn't be taking on commissions until February for a break. Red asked her when she'd be able to start my winter outfit starting screen, and she told him mid-January. Okay. Red, I won't be able to take commissions in February. I'm taking December comms. January, so I can have time to rest. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you. Do you know when, if you were to, you'd be available for winter starting art piece? And are you interested in doing the pirate bikini outfit in spring? And when needed, will you be able to finish the flavor art for us? I can have the winter art started mid-January, but you just told him that you would take a break until February. What? 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 30 minutes prior, you say I'm not taking commissions until February. But then you're telling him, yeah, December commissions will start in January. Okay. I don't know if this is a December commission though. But then you agree to start this one mid-January. Why? Red told Nano that one of my future model sisters showed me her model Nano was working on, and we were on an IRL trip in February 2024. And the new sister first told Red and I that they were working with her. We were both excited for them to express how wonderful it was to work with Nano. And then Red's like, yeah, they're cool. They're super nice. Okay, cool. Red moving project around to accommodate Nano. We preferred all of my model artwork to be done by her. Okay, that seems fine. All this could have been a video, but it isn't email. It doesn't make motherfucking sense. I'm lurking in the background, seeing wrestling. Maybe they meant they won't open commissions until then. Okay, that makes more sense to me. Right? That makes a lot more sense to me. It's February, hopefully, after it'll be much less busy. Just let me know when your schedule will be free. It's what it is. If you prefer, do the model artwork. So if we get someone else to do the pirate design, let me know. Yeah, Red is constantly asking, hey, see, realistically, if Nano didn't want to work on anything, Nano could have just said no. But Nano always said yes. Granted, they wanted the money to buy a house, right? But Red was always open to the idea of working with Nano. That much is evident. Messages I had with Nano showing I was happy for her about projects she was working on. I can't really thank you enough for working in a special Gabriel's card. I started crying and I saw the full finished art and making the most beautiful thing. Thank you, Cinder. Thank you for the opportunity. You've been working on so many cool projects lately too. I'm so happy for you. And then they just talk about, you know, the projects. Oh, did Nano get the house? Nano's moving. Oh shit! Did they? Yo, congrats on the house, dude. I feel like I've watched someone through this document make enough money to buy a house, and that's impressive in and of itself. I don't understand how they're blaming Silvervale. Seems like she was misled as well. Yeah, I don't think you can blame Silvervale when Nanoless lied. Right? like realistically, I haven't gotten to the Silvervale part, right? But you can't blame Silvervale when Nanoless is obviously blatantly lying, you know? Or at least lied in that one instance. Right? So yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of happy we're delaying the moving because it's stressing me out. Also, I want to move. I wish I could leave it all behind. Nano told Red she was feeling burnt out, and he said we'd delay the next model for when she was ready for it. We wanted Nano to be the only one who made majority of models. We had no problem in waiting for her like in the past. That's true. They've done this a million times. And then Nano's like, yo, do you think you can get someone else to make it? And then Red's like, what happened? Nano's like, I'm burnt out. Red's like, yeah, we could just get someone else to do it or delay it. And then, you know, Red's like, we just want you to be comfortable, but then do this. And when he's like, I mean, dude, you work on it, whatever you feel like, you then say, okay, I'll do it. Nano created their own problem. I'm more and more seeing that Nano created their own problems. Wait, and then Red says we can worry about the Angel later. We have better time frame to start over the next few months. Are you still able to do 2.0 outfits? And then Nano's like, yeah, I can still do the summer thing. And then they're like, thank you for keeping me as Cinder's artist. What? Are you actually reading all 1,000 pages? Yes, because it is. Listen, if someone is going to cancel you and you come out with 1,000 pages of what you're saying is proof that you're actually innocent, I'm going to believe you. I'm going to believe you unless you prove me wrong, right? And like, I'm not going to lie. I've been going through the doc so far, and in my humble opinion, Cinder has been grossly misrepresented by Nano. Right? Like, if I'm going to be honest, like, I know a lot of people will never read this document, and that sucks. That does suck for Cinder, because most people will never read it. They'll say too long, don't care. You know, you're shifting blame. all that shit. But given the exact context of everything that is in here, Cinder was right when she first said that it wasn't her fault and it was Red's fault. But also,